All right, we're going to go live in 10. Good afternoon, happy holidays, and thank you for tuning in to another edition of the Rotoworld Fantasy Basketball Q&A. I'm Raphielle Johnson, joined as always by Noah Rubin. Noah, we had I don't know, if the Christmas Day schedule kind of delivered at the beginning and the end. It felt like there were some lulls in the middle thanks to the Lakers, but yeah, what are your thoughts on the Christmas Day slate?
I think you bring up a good point that the best games were the first one, the last one. Like, I get they try and time things up. Like the one Eastern Conference game was first, makes sense. Why Minnesota versus Denver was last?
Yeah,
I don't think that should have been the case. And obviously, hindsight's 2020. They probably would have rather had that game in more of a prime time hour, but they were trying to play into the Clay versus Steph thing, I guess, with like that being a 5 p.m. game. I don't know. I think you could have probably swapped the time of those two games and probably would have been a little bit better. But hey, I enjoyed staying up. I would have rather stayed up late to watch that game than stay up late to watch Mavs Warriors or whatever. So
yeah, that's true. Wow, that first game was rather eventful. Obviously, knowing my rooting interest, that Tyler Kolek. Yeah, we're probably going to end up talking about him a bit more in today's Q&A just because of how he's played recently with Miles McBride out, Landry Shamet out as well. So should make for some interesting decisions for fantasy managers for sure. But I think if you're ready, I guess we can get right into the Q&As.
Yeah.
Isaac, then speaking of the devil, Tyler Kolek, what are we thinking of him for the rest of the season? Felt like a genius streaming in the last two games. I can make my final ad of the week without dropping anyone. I assume he's a drop next week, though, rather than a hold. Let's see here. Pull up the schedule for next week. I don't know. They got 4 games next week.
Yeah.
I think if anything, the concern is the role, with Jalen Brunson being out there. But I kind of wonder if we're going to see more of like not really injury management, just kind of like a night off type deal for some of those guys because they don't have more than one day off again until January 14th. And you're coming off of the NBA Cup with that extra game. I'd imagine that, like we saw on Tuesday, every once in a while, one of those other 4 starters not named Mikal Bridges is going to get a night off.
Yeah, and he's been, I don't know, Tyler Kolek's been fantastic when he's getting the minutes.
Yeah.
Was there any, I don't remember the latest Miles McBride update because I think that's the only thing that would really, I guess the main thing that would impact him directly, but he's playing so well that I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but I can't imagine, like, Miles McBride does a lot of stuff really well, but I think Tyler Kolek as a playmaker is their best non-Jalen Brunson option, maybe.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So having him play a significant role when Brunson's off the floor and having him and Brunson play together, just get Brunson easier looks, try and make things as easy for him as possible. Because, I mean, not that he needs it. He can score all the difficult shots too. But I think, yeah, I like the idea of him as a streaming option. I mean, rest of season, it's a little bit harder to project.
Yeah,
but I think he's played well enough to earn a consistent place in the rotation. It's just maybe not being able to maintain standard league value for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to put it. They have a back-to-back next week, Atlanta and Philadelphia at home, Friday and Saturday, and you've got New Orleans and San Antonio to start the week on the road. So I would assume that one of those 2 games at home could be a spot where some guys get a night off. And if so, Tyler Kolek, even Jordan Clarkson, 25 points yesterday. He can be a roll of the dice, obviously, but he's someone else who could have, added value in these next few weeks for the Knicks. All right. And his other part, he's also got Dominic Barlow as an option as a block streamer. But it looks like just about everyone's going to play for Philly today, limiting his upside. What do you think of him compared to Brook Lopez?
Well, I guess when everyone plays for the Sixers, like he's starting, like Dominic Barlow is.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe not a ton of blocks upside there, but like he can get one. Brook Lopez has been starting, but I don't know, has he been his typical shot blocking self when he starts? I guess he has been. Okay. So if you need the blocks specifically, also down in free throw percentage, well, I don't think either of them is going to get too many free throw attempts to
Yeah.
hurt you or help you. So if you're really needing the blocks, then I'd go Brook Lopez, but I think having Dominic Barlow as more of a locked in secure starter that has a little bit more well-rounded production, I'd say. Probably would rather hold on to him.
I think I'd lean Lopez right now.
Yeah.
Just because your other options with Zubats out, Yannick Konan Niederhauser, and then Nicholas Batum is part of a smaller lineup if they want to do that on occasion. So Lopez, you're only going to get like 25 to 28 minutes per night out of him, but I think the opportunity to start is good enough to where I would probably lean towards him. And like Noah said, you're not going to make much of a dent in the free throw percentage, as let's see, his two starts, his one start he attempted 2 free throws, made them both, but that's not going to make much of a dent. Barlow's usage is such that he's not going to take a lot of free throws either. So I think I would go Lopez because of the fact that there aren't many great options behind him. I think Philly's depth in the front court is a bit better than the Clippers right now, personally.
That's fair.
All right, Oscars. Thank you for tuning in. So you got the Anthony Joshua photo up. Yeah, good performance from him last weekend. But appreciate you tuning in, and we'll get to your question here. I was 3-5 in the bottom of my conference. I'm in a 12-team head-to-head points league. What are you taking my trade? He gives up Giannis, Bane, and Westbrook for Giddey, Ant, and Jabari Smith Jr.
I think the fact that you were 3-5 and at the bottom, I think that makes this move make a little bit more sense. Because frankly, I guess you can't be super patient with Giannis if you're trying to claw back into the playoffs. So I think Anthony Edwards isn't a far enough drop off from that I'm upset about it. So I like that. Josh Giddey is phenomenal in points leagues. He's still good in category leagues, better in points leagues. Desmond Bane has been good recently, but I'm fine trading him away because we still haven't seen him have a ton of consistent success when both Franz and Paolo Banchero are healthy. Russell Westbrook's, he's good. Jabari Smith is fine, but I don't think either really swings things there for me. So I think I'm fine with it in the sense that it helps you be more competitive right now.
Yeah, I think it's a fair trade. I think the only concern with Jabari would be now that Tari Eason's starting alongside him, what will that impact be? But there really wasn't. See, pull up their stats from yesterday's game. It's kind of hard to gauge because the Lakers are absolutely atrocious defensively. But Jabari still got 16 and 7, 2 steals and a block and 2 3-pointers in 36 minutes. So that's an encouraging performance, especially with the playing time. So I like that trade just fine. You're at the bottom of your league at that point. You do have to take a swing, I think. So I think it's a fair swing, especially with Giannis. You're going to have to punt, one, maybe 2 categories a week with him. So I know it's a points league, but still, I think I'm fine with that trade personally. And he was quite active. He made another trade. LaMelo Ball, Miles Turner, Jaden McDaniels for Booker and Bam. Thinks he made a smart move getting Bam and Booker in the buy low. The concern is Kel'el Ware. What do we think about this?
I like the trade a lot, frankly. LaMelo's obviously really good when he's on the floor, but bit of a question mark at times. Miles Turner hasn't been very good this year. Jaden McDaniels is solid, but neither of them is anywhere near Devin Booker or Bam Adebayo. So I like the trade of giving up one star player with an injury history for 2 star players with less of an injury history. I know Bam's doubtful tonight now, but feels like they'll be more available.
Mhm.
I'm not super concerned about Ware impacting Bam, maybe a little bit, but it hasn't been consistent because Ware's role hasn't been consistent. He
Yeah.
just had 3 20-point double doubles in a row, and then the next game plays 21 minutes and doesn't
Mhm.
do all that much. So Bam should still be fine. He'll be Bam.
Yeah.
I don't think Ware's going to really take that away.
Yeah, I think the lower back issue is more of a concern than Ware. Because I think he's going to end up taking a hit once Tyler Hero gets back. So
True.
maybe not a severe hit, but that's something else to consider there. So I think that's a fair deal on your part. LaMelo, who knows when that other shoe is going to drop in terms of a significant injury, unfortunately. So I think that's a fair trade that you made on that part as well. So Wemby, welcome back. And he's got a question. Would you trade Dyson Daniels and Miles Turner for Trey Murphy? 9-cat, 12 team.
I think I would. We just talked about how Miles, and we've talked numerous times about Miles Turner has been as good this year.
Mhm.
And Dyson hasn't been quite as good this year. I mean, the steals great, but the offense hasn't been there consistently, and it's been rather rough at times.
Mhm.
And Trey Murphy is really good, and New
Yeah.
Orleans is apparently like the hottest team in basketball or something. Actually, I think they lost their last
They
game,
lost Cleveland, yeah.
but before that, it was like a 5-game losing streak, and I'm like, "What's going on, guys? I need
Mhm.
this pick. I need you guys to keep sucking." But they're 4.5 games out of the play-in. Like
Mhm.
even if it felt like their season was over, they win a few games. Now the season doesn't feel quite so just dramatically over.
Yeah.
So I feel a little bit better about that. So I think I would do this in a 2-for-1 consolidation move.
Yeah. I like Trey Murphy in terms of his fantasy value, his overall value too. But yeah, because New Orleans, they really don't have an incentive to pull the plug. Like if anything, it's their incentive to
Yep.
continue to compete. So I think you're kind of safe from a shutdown for him. And given what he's provided, and it feels like there's not really a full on shift, but it seems like there's a better understanding of who they need to build around for the future, with he
Yeah.
and Derek Queen being those guys. So I would definitely make this trade as well. So, okay. And he also received an offer. Booker and Nimash Keta for Buzelis, Keyshawn George, and Dyson Daniels, but I think that's too much to give up.
I think that if you're getting Booker and Kata, I think I would do that. You're
Mhm.
getting by far the best player in the trade, and Kata has
Yeah.
also been really good this year. Buzelis, Keyshawn, and Dyson. I mean, Dyson's probably been more consistent, but both Buzelis and Keyshawn, second-year players, have been pretty inconsistent this year. High
Mhm.
highs, low lows. I'd rather just take the best player in the deal and pick up someone to stream off waivers.
Yeah. I think it's a fair way to look at it. I like what Keyshawn's done overall, but like you said, Booker's clearly the best player in this deal. And if you can
Yeah.
get him, I think that's a good move on your part. Oh boy. Is Musa Diabate better than Ryan Kalkbrenner?
I really liked Musa Diabate last year. I think he's a little undersized for a big,
Yeah.
but he doesn't play like it.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I think it can be like a matchup thing to see who's a better fit for the starting lineup for them. Because I mean, looking at his last game where he had 12 and 18, he played 36 minutes. I don't think, and I'll check this. I don't think Ryan Kalkbrenner's played 36
Yeah,
minutes
he's
at
been
any
out.
of the
Yeah.
season.
I don't
Like,
believe so either.
let's see, I see 31, 30, 31, 31. So yeah, he hasn't played 36 minutes in the game this year. And more recently, he's been hovering around the 25-minute mark for the most part.
Hmm.
Could be a matchup thing to say who's better, but we're looking at the production. Like Ryan Kalkbrenner is a high level shot blocker. If he was playing 35 minutes consistently,
Yeah.
then we'd probably be looking at the production a little bit differently. So I don't think better. I think just very different bigs, and it's a good thing for Charlotte to have two bigs that are just very different players to help them
Mhm.
match up with more teams. But I'm curious to see what happens with how well Diabate's been on the playing on specifically on the glass
Mhm.
the last 2 games with Kalkbrenner out. What happens when Kalkbrenner returns?
Yeah, I think Diabate is the more athletic of the two, which helps
100%.
compensate for the comparative lack of size. So I don't. I just think they're such different players in terms of their physical tools that it's kind of difficult to say that one is definitively better than the other. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think obviously you have a draft pick invested in Kalkbrenner, so there may be a bit more of a desire to see what he can do with more minutes later in the season. But if anything, it would just help if they just refuse to play Mason Plumlee at all and just let these two handle the center
You
minutes. Like you know what you're going to get in Mason at this point. So,
do.
and obviously he's currently injured as well. But when all three are healthy, I don't see a reason why he should play. But that's why I'm sitting here and not coaching a team. So,
Is that why?
that's one
Because
reason.
you wouldn't want to play Mason Plumlee?
That's one of many reasons why I'm sitting here. But all right. And Jamal would like to know Jalen Williams, J Dub, and Jamal Murray for Luca. Would you make this trade?
Ooh, I don't think I would. I think I'd rather keep Jalen Williams and Jamal Murray. We're talking about Jamal Murray,
Yeah.
who's been unreal this season. He's been
Hmm.
so good. And we know how good Jalen Williams can be. I think if we're just looking at this season, like Jamal Murray is not Jalen Williams far off from Luca. Like
Yeah.
I think that way more than makes up the difference. So
Hmm.
I'd rather have the two here in this scenario.
Yeah. And plus, maybe, delivery. I'll go grab that in a sec. But you think about Jalen Williams, eventually the range of motion in his wrist will be back. So you kind of betting on that happening either before fantasy playoffs or during. And then at that point, you may be able to benefit from him. So, yeah, I'd much rather have the two than Luca. And Luca, he didn't look 100% down the stretch last night, kind of limping around a bit.
Yeah.
So you kind of wonder with his history of lower leg injuries, you hope there isn't an extended absence at some point, but you kind of wonder if that could be the case.
Yeah. I mean, I hope he stays healthy, but I don't know. The Lakers have also just been pretty rough. So
Yeah, agreed. All right. I would be right.
yeah. All right. Would you drop Bobby Portis if Christian Brown is cleared to play? I have no ability to change it to the next question. So we're just going to talk about this one until Raph gets back. I don't think I would. I think Christian Brown hasn't been quite as good this year as he was last year. He will be more valuable than he was previously if assuming Aaron Gordon's still out and Cameron Johnson is out. But I think Bobby Portis is a player I'd prefer to roster until Giannis is back. I'd rather just take what Bobby Portis has done with Giannis out than get Christian Brown, who will be playing for a depleted Nuggets team. But Bobby Portis, I think he's been too good and he's starting now. I'd rather keep him until Giannis gets back. When Giannis is back, I think I'd be fine to drop Bobby Portis and get Christian Brown. At that point, it's probably too late, but that would be the way I'd approach it.
What he said. All right. You got a dissatisfied Jakob Pertl manager here. Talk me out of doing something rash. I can stash him on IL, but he's giving me a headache. 12-team 9-cat head-to-head.
Probably if you have the ability to stash him, I think I'd probably just stash him at this point.
Yeah.
If you are, fighting for playoff spots or you have so many injuries that you can't afford to stash him, I think it's okay to drop him at this point because I think also you're not going to have 4 other teams in your league saying, okay, Jakob Pertl's available. I got to get him now. And then you won't have the opportunity to get him back. You can probably get him back. I still know that he can be a really productive fantasy player. I know it hasn't happened this year. I know that he's been hurt. I know the minutes haven't been there. But I think he's talented enough that he's worth being a little patient with.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's all about where you are in the standings. Like if you need help now, then maybe you look to try to trade him. if anything. See if you can get some sort of value back. It'll be difficult just because this back injury is something that he's been dealing with since the preseason. So, other savvy managers may not be willing to give up too much for him. But I think if anything, you stash him on IL. If you're looking to make a move, I'd much rather try to trade him than drop him, even if you don't get like the best return on that. So, okay. What are your rest of the season values on Nurkic, Tari Eason, Colin Sexton, and John Collins? Recently showing signs of hope with back-to-back 48 fantasy points. I think he's talking points league there. So,
yeah. Nurkic, I think that at some point Utah's gonna pull the plug.
yeah.
What the extent of that looks like, not really sure. But Nurkic is probably an easy one to say, hey, he's not playing anymore, unless they trade him. But I think he'll be fine for, aside from these random rest days, for at least another month or two. Tari Eason, maybe we'll just keep it at a month because that's getting close enough to the trade deadline. Tari Eason said after their last game that he really wants to start. So I'm curious to see how that impacts things in the rotation. But I think he's a player I'm rostering. Colin Sexton, I'm a little bit less optimistic about, but he's definitely better in points leagues. John Collins, 2 games without Ivica Zubac. He's a guy that's really stepped up. And he has been starting regardless. Now, that has included some hot shooting and some likely unsustainable defensive production. I think also a season high in assists. Like, probably some stuff he's not going to keep doing. But I think with Zubac out, he should be pretty good. So it'll be I'm encouraged. I think it's the first time of the season I could say, hey, I might roster John Collins.
Yeah, I think my question with him is what happens when Derek Jones Jr. gets back. Apparently, he's ahead of schedule in his recovery. Whether that means he'll be back really soon or not, I'm not sure. But that's something to keep in mind. Is that something that may impact Brook Lopez more than John Collins? We'll see what happens there. I think of the 4, I feel best about Eason. He's someone that we've seen threaten like top 50 value, even coming off the bench. And like I said, started yesterday in place of Josh Okogie. I feel like that's a position he can hold on to for the foreseeable future. And I don't know if he's going to continue shooting like 51% from 3 as he was before yesterday, but what he brings to the table can certainly make him a valuable option, even in points leagues. So I think he's the one I feel most confident of these 4. Don't feel good about Nurkic because of the tanking situation, as Noah mentioned. Sexton, not in a great spot in Charlotte, I don't think. You're kind of hoping for a LaMelo Ball injury. You certainly don't want to hope for injuries, obviously, but I feel like that's like the best way for him to establish some sort of value that can be relied on. So, yeah, I like Eason. Rest of the season, these other guys, I don't know. I guess I'd rank I'd go Collins, Sexton, and Nurkic if I were to rank the following 3, but I don't feel great about really any of those guys. Okay. Is Tari Ryan, thanks for tuning in first and foremost. Is Tari worth a punt in a weekly games cap, 12-team ESPN points league? I'd have to drop 3 of Tyson, Huff, Maxime Reynaud, and John Collins with a healthy IR.
Why do you have to drop 3? I think points league I'm a little bit less confident in.
Yeah.
I think I'd like a category league I'm a little bit higher on Tari Eason. Just a lot of what he does is defensive production. So if you're having to drop Maxime Reynaud, who I would say like, no, don't drop him. And then Jalen Tyson or John Collins, like one of those 2. I think J Huff would be the easy drop for me, but having to drop, or actually both Jalen Tyson and John Collins to get Tari Eason, maybe I would do that.
Yeah.
Because like, would I rather have Tari Eason or Jalen Tyson?
Yeah.
I think I'd rather have Tari Eason. I think I'd rather have Tari Eason than John Collins. Yeah, I guess I would do that, and I would hold Maxime Reynaud.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way. That's fair. He's the one I would definitely hold on to because we'll see when Sabonis gets back and what it'll look like once he is back in terms of like a minutes restriction and what have you. Then also potential trades in Sacramento. So I think he would be the one that I'd hold on to based on what we've seen thus far. Man, because I really like Jalen Tyson. Like even yesterday coming off the
Right.
bench, he gave really good production in that role. And who knows when Max Strus is going to be back? That's another person to compete with for minutes. But if he's not there, and I think at this point Tyson's going to have a role regardless who's available, just because of how well he's played, and he gives them a different dynamic in terms of the athleticism and the defense that they don't really have from those other wings. So I think it would be tough to give up on him at this point, but I don't know if I can argue with picking up Tari Eason either. So,
Right. It's a tough one.
Yeah, that's a good question, Ryan. I really don't have a concrete answer for you.
If I was just gonna lean some in a direction, I would lean towards adding Tari Eason and keeping Maxime Reynaud.
Yeah.
Like if you're having to drop 3, I think that's the thing that's like, is it because you have players that are is it like he has healthy players in his IR and so you can adjust then maybe I would actually just leave Tari Eason and like not have to mess with things at this point.
Okay.
That way you don't have to drop 3 players. Yeah, maybe I would do that because I don't know. Tari Eason's tough in points leagues.
Yeah. All right. Adam dropped Zach Edey for John Collins. Halfway through the regular season already now, Drew and now Keegan Murray injured. Was this the right move? 10-team 9-cat head-to-head with 1 IR spot.
I don't think it was a bad move because we don't have a specific timeline on Zach Edey. Drew Holiday has been out for a while. And I don't see like an update on him. Maybe I would have leaned towards dropping Drew Holiday instead of Zach Edey just for Edey's upside. But I don't hate the move of having to drop someone and getting John Collins for the production right now.
Yeah, I think it goes back to our last conversation about Edey, where you talk about lower body injuries for players of his size and the fact that it's something that was initially addressed in the offseason. That is a concern. But when he's out there, I just feel like, I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm with you. I probably would have dropped Drew, if anything. It's because we don't have any concrete updates. I think he's still limited to like individual work, if I'm not mistaken. And then also you have the Scoot Henderson factor. Like he's going to play when he's available, but he's in a similar spot in terms of the lack of updates. So, man, I don't know. I think he would probably be the one that I would drop, if anything. I feel like once Keegan gets back, hopefully they're going to have some things cleared up in Sacramento in terms of that rotation to make him more of a centerpiece, because it doesn't make much sense for them not to take that approach at this stage. So, all right. Oscars would like to know which players in Brooklyn, D.C. having fantasy value. Both have Clowney and Gilman on the waiver wire. Don't know if they're worth picking up.
So there is some appeal there.
Yeah.
I think I'd probably, I don't even know which side I lean, but here's the new factor here is that Cam Thomas is going to play tomorrow. It'll be his first game in a while. Don't know what the minutes look like. Don't know if he starts immediately, but assuming that he returns, is slowly reacclimated to the lineup, and then ends up, taking on a starting role, it's going to impact everything in Brooklyn. Like Michael Porter Jr. is going to get fewer shots. Cam Thomas is going to take more shots. Tillman's probably going to have the ball less. I'd assume Terrence Mann goes to the bench. Clowney's getting fewer shots. I don't know if you saw this quote earlier, Raph. I forgot what reporter asked Cam Thomas if like Brooklyn's recent success has him excited to go back out there and play and try and see what he can help the team. And he said, I honestly just want to play basketball. I just want to play basketball. And maybe he didn't mean it like a negative way, but not about like I'll just do whatever it takes to help the team win. Just to emphasize, I just want to play basketball. It's a guy that We saw the contract issues all off season. Now he's just coming back on like a prove it year to try and get a longer term deal this next summer. We know that's his priority is to earn a long term deal. Now, if he goes about it by trying to play team basketball and prove that he can do that, or if he tries to go about it by dropping 40, like we know he can, we'll see. But I really want to see what this team looks like for a few games with Cam Thomas back in the lineup before I have a confident answer about either of these guys. Because Cam Thomas wasn't back, I'd say, yeah, they're probably both ads.
Yeah.
But I don't know exactly how this is going to shake out.
Yeah, I feel like of the two, you can probably talk yourself into Clowney a bit more right now, just because he won't be on the perimeter. Now, Dioman, I do worry about what his usage may look like when you've got Cam Thomas firing away. But I don't know. I think they're both guys I like a lot more once we hit the trade deadline. And once Brooklyn just decides they're not going to play some of these older guys as much as they have been. So I think in terms of Dioman's long-term value, I like him just because he's separated himself from the other two perimeter first-round picks when you talk about Ben Seraph and Nolan Traore. So that he's got that going for him for later in the season. Obviously, the other rookie I think you'd probably be looking out for on this team is Danny Wolf. Kind of tailed off recently, but I feel like he's someone who can get back into that rotation in terms of the value he was providing a couple weeks ago. Drake Powell got hurt, so we're kind of waiting to see what he does once he returns. But I feel like Noah said, the Cam Thomas dynamic is what complicates this a bit more than what we probably expected. So we'll see. All right, Ryan. In the first 2 weeks, I traded as soon as Jaren Jackson Jr. for Devin Booker. I thought I was doing a sell high, buy low.
I think Jalen Johnson.
Excuse me. Yeah, Jalen Johnson. My bad. All right. Sell high, buy low. Didn't happen. Is there a chance that Book reaches his projected end of first round numbers, or is it a total loss?
I don't think it's a total loss. I don't know if he's playing much better recently, like the last few games since returning. He just had a 38-point game against the Warriors a few nights ago. 21-11 in the last one, I think. Jalen Green, when he gets back, how does that impact things? Dylan Brooks being a go-to scorer that he thinks he is, and I'd say that he thinks he is. He's actually been so good this year. Been a really good scoring option. Just used to coming off a little condescending when talking about Dylan Brooks, so my apologies. But no, he's been awesome. Those factors are things that I downplayed heading into the season because I was like, it's still Devin Booker, but I mean, he's been good. I don't know if he's going to reach those end of first round numbers. I still think he is a really good player. And I would say that is, what you did was still pretty good process. I think I was higher on Jalen Johnson, so I didn't view him as a sell high. But I think in that scenario, like if you view someone as a sell high, I think that was good process to get the safer option. But yeah, I think probably not going to end up working out in the long run.
I mean, when you say total loss, I think of someone whose value just absolutely craters. And I don't see that with Booker. If you disregard turnovers, Basketball Monster has him like a third round player. That's not first round, but it's not bad either. So I don't think you've taken a total loss here. So yeah, if anything, a lot of us did not realize that the Suns were going to be as formidable as they've been. You think about Dylan Brooks, his improved production, Colin Gillespie. I think some people would be shocked that he was still in the NBA coming out of training camp. And yeah, he's played well enough to earn a place in the starting lineup. So, Mark Williams has been healthier than expected. That's another dynamic that we have to consider here. So I don't think it's a total loss at all. Obviously may not feel great since Jalen's production hasn't really tailed off. And then Booker hasn't been the first round player, but again, he hasn't been terrible this year either. So. Okay, Kyle has a dynasty question. Jordan Walsh or Hugo Gonzalez in terms of long-term outlook, 9-cat head-to-head?
So I'm actually working on updated dynasty rankings right now, and I
Mhm,
currently have Jordan Walsh ahead of Hugo Gonzalez, but I do have both in the top 200, which
yeah,
is much higher than probably other people have them, or
mhm,
much higher than they were before this season. Walsh is a guy I've been waiting on for a while. I've had him in multiple dynasty leagues, and then I have Gonzalez in one or two as well. So I'd prefer Jordan Walsh, but I think both hold immense value.
yeah. All right. Is Jalen Tyson rostering now that the Cavs are, we'll say, close to full, still without Max Juice, 9 cat, 12 team?
Are the Cavs fully healthy?
No, Struce is still out.
Well, yeah. I guess they did have Mobley back, and so I guess they did have their whole big. Actually, no, they were missing Jared Allen. No, wait,
No, he played, but
Evan Mobley came off the bench. That's what's throwing me off.
yeah. Mhm.
I still think he's worth rostering. No, they finally started him in front of DeAndre Hunter, and then he had like a bad game, and now it's like back to the bench, buddy.
Yeah.
Um, I want to say that he's worth rostering. I think I can give a better answer if it's like who would you be picking up instead of him, but I think
Mhm.
it's probably still worth rostering.
Yeah. I think the issue is that the margin for error that he had when they didn't have as many healthy players is kind of gone now. So he played 20 minutes, was really good, but you got to think how often is he going to do that in just 20 minutes of action? So I think that's
Yep.
the concern there. Um, he feels like a case where if you have him, you hold on to him, but I don't know if I would rush to add him per se. See
Yeah,
how it
I'd
works
agree with
out
that.
the next couple of weeks. So. Okay, it's Tyree Easton must roster and 10 team 9 cat. I would drop either John Collins or Keyshawn George from.
I think I'd in a category league, I think I would drop John
Yeah.
Collins and pick up Tari Eason. Just the upside is tremendous there.
Hmm.
And John Collins is a temporary option.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think Collins would be the one that I would drop too. It's been good the last four, but I don't know. I think Tari Easton, I like his ceiling a lot better than I do John Collins at this point. Okay, on Basketball Monster, Kevin Porter Jr. is projected to average 41.5 fantasy points per game, currently averaging 46. What should I aim for in the sell high? I was thinking of offering Kevin Porter Jr. and Dante for Cat or something to that effect.
I like that trade. I would
Mhm.
rather have Cat in that deal. Um, I don't know. I'm trying not to be like, oh, I was low on Kevin Porter Jr. or I wasn't in on him as a late round guy, and I'm not trying to like double down on that, but
Mhm.
just to like feel like an ego thing or whatever. But I think that he is playing really well. I think when
Mhm.
Giannis comes back, he's going to take somewhat of a hit. How much of a hit? I don't know, but I like there will be a hit because Giannis is back. Giannis needs the ball.
Yeah.
So I think that makes sense to trade Kevin Porter Jr. and Dante DiVincenzo for a player like Cat, and then streaming in another option.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's fair as well. You might as well swing now because when Giannis gets back, you aren't going to be able to swing on a sell high. So yeah, definitely. And I like this particular move too. So
I think it's a good one. It's not like you're getting value there, but you're also
yeah.
not swinging like a KPJ and Dante DiVincenzo for Wemby. Like I think it's
Hmm.
a realistic move.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Which player should I drop between Ace Bailey, Yusuf Nurkic, and Tobias Harris? 12 team head to head points league.
Um, my quick answer would be not Ace Bailey. I think just the upside of Ace Bailey's,
Yeah.
especially as rookie, better in points leagues, and feel very good about the last month, maybe 2 months of the season. him being a high volume player. Don't think you drop that in points leagues. I think the shutdown risk of Nurk makes me want to drop him before Tobias Harris.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I would go with that. I think Nurkic would be the one I would drop just because of the long-term concern. If you don't have that worry, you're thinking more short-term, I need production now. I don't know. I'd probably consider dropping Ace Bailey under that scenario just because I think Nurkic and Tobias may bring a bit more production to the table now, but the long-term upside is such that I would want to hold on to him if I can afford to do it. All right, 76ers question. What are our thoughts on VJ Edgecombe, Quentin Grimes, Kelly Oubre, Jared McCain, and Justin Edwards for the rest of the season?
I think they're all Sixers players.
Yeah,
VJ, how's the rotation? The rotation looks like
VJ Edgecombe and McCain playing quite a bit now. Obviously, Oubre is going to be in the mix once he returns. I don't know if he starts or comes off the bench, though.
That
would impact Dominic Barlow, obviously.
Yeah, that's the one that's up in the air because VJ is going to start. Oubre may start. The other three are bench options. Edwards probably isn't playing much without injuries. Jared McCain's role has been inconsistent aside from injuries. Quentin Grimes has been a very reliable reserve option with upside, which is fun, but VJ is the best fantasy option.
Yeah. Don't really have anything to add to that, It's VJ. Yeah. But yeah, I don't really Justin Edwards, I don't think there's going to be much value to be had there unless things go really wrong with injuries. So, and the other three, Grimes and McCain have been good, as Noah said, and Oubre, that's the question mark. Does he start when he returns? Does he come off the bench? That's going to be the big question there. So I think when he starts, he can give you decent late round value, but the ceiling is a bit limited in that roster when they're full. So. Okay, who do you think is going to come back first? Will AD come back first or Porzingis? Or should I just leave them both in IL forever?
Hopefully not forever.
Yeah.
But let's see. Porzingis had the 2-week reevaluation period, and that was December 14th. So that'll be 2 days from now.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get an update then. Anthony Davis, they said he's going to miss a few games.
Yeah.
Every report or tweet that I've seen, it's they really just think it's going to be a few games. Shams was tweeting that they're just taking an abundance of caution here. They don't want to rush him back. He mentioned that he's a trade candidate in the tweet. It wasn't hey, they're not wanting to rush him back because they want to trade him, but it's he mentioned that he's a trade candidate and then said they don't want to rush him back. So kind of read between the lines there. Mm-hmm. So I assume, my guess would be Kristaps Porzingis comes back first, but I really don't think either is going to be out for a significant period of time from this point. I think it's probably going to be 3 to 5 games for AD, a couple more games for Porzingis, and then hopefully now if something else happens, can't predict that, but I think for what their current ailments are, it's not going to be much longer.
I think I'll go AD. Because at least you're dealing with an actual the groin obviously can be kind of a finicky thing in terms of injuries, but I think there's a bit more knowledge of what they're dealing with there than the Porzingis situation, even though he did have that illness in Boston during the spring that I feel like it's flared up. I'm not really sure exactly what's going on there, but I think the unpredictable nature of that injury is why I would say AD comes back first. Given what they can provide when healthy, you might as well stash them in your IL spot. Continue to do that. So, how do you guys like the Magic? Well, they're a good team. We're still waiting to see what happens with Jalen Suggs in terms of his injury. So,
well, if we go back, what is it? 2 weeks? Was it been 2 weeks at this point where we had our friend that was?
Yeah, I think it was last week.
Magic. Was that last week? Gosh. Where we had all the, Palos, LeBron, Franz is Dirk Nowitzki, Desmond Bane is Mitch Richmond.
Yeah.
we have a personal vendetta against the Magic since then, so we don't like the Magic.
All right.
Official stance of the Rotoworld Q&A is we don't like the Magic.
Okay. Do you think I should sell high on Derek Queen and Paul George? I really do believe in Queen and see a lot of upside in him. Oh, wow. You guys remind me of time. Really? Come on, man.
Oh my gosh. It's hilarious.
Compliment. I would not sell high on Derek Queen personally. He's someone that I would want to hold on to for the remainder of the season. See where that ride goes, so to speak. George, I think I would consider that just because of his injury history. But I would hold on to Derek Queen.
Yeah, I agree. I think selling high for whatever you can on Paul George makes sense, but Derek Queen, I think he's only going to get better as the season progresses.
Yeah. And plus,
awesome.
we're another Zion injury away from him being able to raise his ceiling even more.
This isn't the I'm assuming here that I'm Delhi in this scenario. This isn't the worst. This isn't the worst player I've been compared to, because in 7th grade I had a buzz cut and somebody called me Steve Blake. That's probably the worst one that I've gotten.
Steve Blake was good, man.
He was.
But think about this. You're in middle school for the Maryland years, though.
But I'm in middle school and I'm being called Steve Blake. Yeah. Like that's not
that's fair.
This is also end of career Steve Blake.
Yeah. You weren't around. As I say, you weren't outside.
I guess I wasn't.
You weren't outside for the Steve Blake that I remember. So
is Matthew Dellavedova a worse comp than Steve Blake? Is this the one I should be most embarrassed about?
I don't know, man. I don't think so. It's not like Delhi is a bad player. You think back to like what he did at St. Mary's. That Australia to St. Mary's pipeline that we've seen over the years. So I'm just confused. Braun is a reach. I appreciate it, but that's a serious reach, man. But hey, we're just glad you're tuning in, Oscar. So thanks for the questions.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Should I pick up Kyle Filipowski now, even though I'm at the bottom of the league, 14 team head to head?
Yeah, I think you should.
Hopefully your rest of your roster and him do enough to get you in playoff position at some point, because I think that's when he's going to be most valuable. But right now, we've already seen them take steps to rest Markkanen and Nurkic. So now would be the time to add Kyle Filipowski for sure.
Yeah, and if you're at the bottom of the standings, I think I would assume that there's somebody that you're comfortable dropping to pick him up, and he's had some really productive games recently, so he can help you kind of claw back in. So,
plus, if you want to be petty, you have him late in the year, and other people who are in the playoffs don't. So,
yeah, or maybe you can pick him up and then see who's number one team in your league and say, "Hey, I need production now. Kyle Filipowski's gonna be awesome final 2 months. Help me out here."
Yeah. All right. Dylan Cardwell have value in 9K 12 team?
Probably not a 12 team league, depending on how deep things go in your league. But the defensive production is good. I think he can be a really solid NBA player. Just don't think he's doing enough in enough categories to really be a standard 12 team guy. Now, if you're doing a specific punt build where if you're doing Adam King's famous punt build where he punts 0.3s, assists, and you're focusing on percentages, turnovers, rebounds, defensive stats, things like that, there could be some value there for Dylan Cardwell. I don't know if it's enough for it to be a 12-team league, though.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. He's been fun to watch for sure, but I don't know if he's at that 12-team point just yet. So, okay, that's from an earlier question. So, all right. What are your values and thoughts about Amen Thompson? Hasn't lived up to the fantasy vibe in a projected 45 points per game. Thinking about giving up Queen and PG, but I think I'd give up. Well, that's a lot going on there. But what do we think about Amen Thompson in terms of his fantasy value?
He's definitely been disappointing. A lot of us had high expectations for Amen Thompson this season, and he just hasn't taken the leap. Because I think that's the thing is he was really good down the stretch of last year. And then Fred VanVleet was out. It was like, okay, like this guy is set up, perfect scenario for him to take a leap forward. And it just hasn't really happened. I think this trade is something that probably makes sense. You are buying low on Amen Thompson and you're giving up, I think Queen will be fine, like really good, but probably not as good as Amen can be. And Paul George, injury history. How healthy is he going to be? How productive is he going to be? But I think it's one where it's like you have to really believe that Amen Thompson is going to improve as the season progresses. I think he can. I'm not super confident at this point that he's going to, but I think it's a pretty fine trade to make. You could probably shoot a little higher than Amen Thompson, though, if you're trying to sell high on them.
Yeah, his scoring has increased. He's up to about 18 a game this year compared to 14 last season. The issue is that the percentages dropped a few points, then rebounds have gone down about 1 a game. The blocks haven't been as plentiful either, but I kind of feel like those are areas where Amen can easily kind of turn things around. So, and I just don't like giving up Derek Queen in this situation, but
yeah,
I'm kind of wondering if you are giving up too much for these two guys personally. So I don't even know if you go Paul George for Amen Thompson straight up. I don't think you could do that, but I don't know.
No, we probably can't.
Yeah, I think I would try to look at your roster and see if there's someone other than Queen that you can potentially attach in that deal personally, because I just really like what he could potentially give you down the line here. So, yeah. Okay. With a punt assist build, would you trade Kel'el Ware for Jalen Williams?
Yes. I don't think it matters too much to me about the punt assist build either. I just just punting assist is not enough for me to say, oh yeah, I'd rather wear it than Jalen Williams. Like you'd have to be punting like literally every non-big man stat for it to make sense. And even then, I don't know.
Yeah. We spoke about Kel'el earlier. Like he'll go on a run of like 3 or 4 games of just like dominance. And then he'll have a dud where he plays like 22 minutes. So, Jalen Williams, as long as he's healthy, you're going to get consistency in terms of his role. And the production overall is going to be good. Like even with the still working through the wrist issues, he's putting up pretty good percentages. Didn't shoot it well from the foul line yesterday, but I think he's still well over 80% from the line right now. 85% in fact. And he's shooting 45 from the field. So, yeah, if you can get Jalen Williams in this deal, I would definitely do it. And he also has a note from the 4-team 16 mega dynasty
That's
from last week. And the change gave,
That's awesome.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good for whoever's in the lead. I think that's always the concern of in-season lead changes, is how it's going to affect like the standings and whatnot, but that can be a bit of an issue, but hey, I'm sure whoever's on top is pretty pleased with that change. So. Okay. How would you rank these 4 players the rest of the season? Sandro Mamukelashvili, Kyle Filipowski, Maxime Reynaud, and Moussa Diabate.
I think just quickly off the top of my head, I want to say Reynaud, Filipowski, Diabate, Mamu. Reynaud is going to continue to be awesome until Sabonis is back, but like with the way that things are going for the Kings, could be a while, could be a trade. Filipowski, good when he starts. I think he's going to be really good down the stretch. Diabate still kind of caught up there with Kalkbrenner when both are healthy. Mamu's kind of dependent on Pirtle being out. I don't know. He's been good in the short term, but Pirtle's not like a shutdown candidate. So that's probably how I'd rank them.
I think I'd go Filipowski 1, Reynaud 2. That would be my lone switch in terms of what you have. I certainly like what I've seen from Reynaud, but I don't know. Part of it for like the rest of the season value comes down to us trusting the Kings doing the right thing and kind of moving some of these vets if they can. But it's the Kings, so I don't know. That's my concern with right now. It's got nothing to do with him.
Maybe they make a win now move.
I feel like Scott Perry is going to do the right thing, try to do the right thing, but I wonder if people above him are going to make some interesting input on potential changes. So I'll just leave it at that. I trust Scott Perry. I don't know if I trust the person who signs the checks out there.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. And speaking of the Kings, could Dylan Cardwell stick as a block specialist in category leagues for the rest of the season?
I think so. The rest of the season part is a little bit shaky just because it's been 4 games of him in the rotation. I assume that he's played well enough to stick, but Doug Christie could change his mind. There could be roster changes here. I guess the question is that okay that he's just a block specialist that can maybe get you some rebounds here and there? Like, is that enough for you to be worth, or for him to be worth rostering? I don't know, but if you're just looking for blocks, I could see it.
Yeah. Certainly been good. I don't know about rest of the season because he's averaging about 3 blocks per game. I don't know if that's sustainable for the rest of the year for him, but who knows? You get the minutes, that's a big part of the battle. So, all right, got a couple minutes left. So we're going to have to speed through these remaining questions. Bronx Bomber would like to know, will Anthony Simons have any value for the rest of the season, or will he need to be traded in real life in ACAT?
Probably traded in real life. I think the appeal here was, hey, Boston's not going to be as good this year.
Yeah.
And that just hasn't been the case. Because I was like, okay, they're a borderline play-in team. Anthony Simons is going to just get a lot of shots. That has not been the case at all. They've been much better than most of us expected. So probably needs to be traded for him to have value.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Okay, should I trade Jalen Duren and Keyshawn George for Bam, 10-team 9-cat, or should I aim higher and go for cat?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I think aiming higher makes sense.
Yeah.
I think you can do that for cat. I don't think I'd do that for Bam. I don't think that. Would you trade Duren for Bam straight up, or would you rather have Duren?
I think I'd rather have Duren.
Yeah, it's kind of what I'm thinking too. Or it's at least close enough of a conversation that I don't think you need to be attaching the piece there.
Yeah, you got to aim higher here. I would go for cat. If anything. All right, any shot at an Ace and Newell breakout this season in standard category leagues? Seems like a good fantasy player when he gets minutes.
I'm going to say probably not this season. I think the Hawks have been struggling a little bit more recently.
Mm-hmm.
If something changes, like they can't figure it out and they make some sort of move at the deadline or multiple moves at the deadline, I don't really see a scenario where they're trading players that open up a ton of minutes for Ace and Newell, but there could be some, if things just continue to go really poorly, a stretch at some point where he takes on more minutes. But I still think they're at least a play-in team. Mm-hmm. And I don't like Jalen Johnson's not going to be traded. Mohamed Gay is not going to be traded. Yaka Kongu's not going to be traded. Yeah. Ace and Newell isn't a great backup center at this point. So probably not this season.
Yeah. I'm going to say no on that. Okay, stream 1 for Sunday. Lou Dort, Moses Moody, or Jordan Walsh?
Let's see. Boston plays Portland. OKC plays Philadelphia. And Golden State plays Toronto. My quick thought is probably Jordan Walsh. That's who I would go with.
Yeah, I like that matchup. Portland, that's going to be a high-scoring game. I think you can get some good defensive stats out of that too. So I would go Walsh as well there. And we're going to wrap this up with a question from Clint. Happy holidays to you too. What are our thoughts on Kyle Filipowski and Santi Aldama the rest of the season? And both are performing well when injured players are out.
Yeah. both are playing really well right now. I think rest of the season, we've talked about this all
Mhm.
season. Filipowski really, really good down the stretch. Probably some good performances and some bad performances over the next month or two. Santi Aldama's been very impressive, especially recently. With Zach Edey out for a while now, I'm pretty excited to see what he can do.
Mhm. I think they're both in good spots in terms of their opportunities now and for the rest of the season. So those are my thoughts on them. And with that, we will be concluding this Q&A because that's our hour. Once again, thank you all for tuning in and ask some really good thought-provoking questions. That's Noah and Raphael, and we will see you again on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Thank you.